Good afternoon, morning, wherever it is you're listening to us, evening, middle of the night. We are Recharge Wrestling, and we're here to plug you into the world of professional wrestling. I'm Krusty, and I'm here with Fisher.
Hello, guys.
No Keeney this afternoon. I think all the excitement of WrestleMania has made him sort of faint, and he needs to recharge his batteries. So hopefully he'll be back with us next week. As you know, we've been firing out content left, right, and centre. So we're excited to sort of get back into normal proceedings. Mania has been fantastic, and we're always excited for the content that comes up afterwards. But as always, we're going to start with our new segment. Then we're going to talk about Raw, tiny bit on SmackDown, but everyone's kind of forgotten about that with the goings on at Mania. Talk about NXT, and then on to the happenings in AEW. So Fisher, do you want to start with your news?
Yeah, so breaking news from last night, really. We won't go into too much detail on the reasonings why and all the stuff behind it, because there's a lot to come out on it yet. But Nash Carter, who is one half of the NXT Tag Team Champions, has been released by WWE. This isn't a budget cut reason. This is, there's a lot behind this, which, again, I'm not going to talk about too much because there's a lot of stuff to come out about it yet. But it's just a shame that NXT put the titles back on them at the weekend. It kind of puts them in a weird situation. They were going to defend the belts next week against Grayson Waller and Sanga, weren't they? So it's a bit of an awkward one. I also feel for Wesley in this situation as well, because he obviously is part of the tag team. They don't often tend to push someone that, the other person, if the other person gets injured or released or whatever, the other person of a member of a tag team seems to get forgotten about. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting going forward. Not too much else to say about it, but yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens with Nash. But yeah, it's a shame that it's had to sort of come to this, and we'll see what happens going forward.
Yeah, basically, exactly what you say. It's just a shame. It's a bit strange that they've just become tag team, but I guess they hadn't made any decisions before then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
as you say, it'd be interesting to see whether they push the single. It'd be nice if they did something like they did with Top Flight on AEW, where they push one of them, where which is because he is a good wrestler.
Yeah, they could use him in a solo run. I'm just worried that they won't do it. I think he's good enough to.
Yeah.
But yeah,
a shame. We don't have all the details, but I'm sure there was an informed decision behind that happening. I think that's it for news, really.
Because all the other stuff is Mania Fallout stuff anyway, which we'll talk about in the show. So
yeah, and if you haven't listened to our Mania pods, check them out on the YouTube or podcast network.
Yeah, there's both nights being reviewed. So yeah, a lot of content there.
Right, I think we should start talking about Raw. And I know you are very passionate about sort of the opening segment, Fisher, so I think you can take it away, my friend.
Yeah, so it's going to be my top mark for this week. I was torn on this between this and the main event of AEW Dynamite as my top marks, but I thought I'd give Cody the top mark because I'm still buzzing from his return at the weekend, the match with Seth, and I was really looking forward to hearing what he was going to say on Raw. And I love the fact that he was just given a microphone, unscripted completely. He's confirmed that since on the bump yesterday. And I just can't get enough of hearing his interviews, his promos at the moment. And I just loved it. It was a promo from the heart. He explained why he's back. He wants to win that WWE championship for his father as much as anything else, but also, for himself and his family. And he's got a different perspective on things, I think, I think he's one of those, he's left WWE 6 years ago. He's made himself a bigger star and he's come back. And I think he's seen Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley in particular do the same thing and win the WWE title. And Cody Rhodes, I think, is going to be the next one of that sort of that ilk to be a mid-carder in the WWE the first time around, but come back and hopefully be a main eventer.
It feels like he's been rocketed to superstardom already. It's certainly in my eyes, it's elevated. I mean, I liked him in AEW, but he was starting to get a bit
stale.
Yeah, and really, he
wasn't fitting in with the product. I think that was the main thing. Yeah. With the direction they were going, he fits more WWE. I think he does actually fit WWE better.
Which is rare, isn't it? It's normally the other way around.
Yeah, but I think as well, you've seen the reaction, like YouTube clicks and all that on his return and his promos. they've been going like doing massive numbers. And Raw had its highest viewership as well. I know it's the Raw after Mania, so you kind of expect it anyway. But it's, you know, in a year and a half or something. So, you know, it's obviously having a good effect. And I think his promo was just really, really good. And I'm glad they just did it unscripted and they didn't start a new feud or have. I was expecting like 2 minutes in, Rollins or someone else was going to walk out.
But it was cool how he did come out and just shook his hand
at the end. Yeah, they waited until he'd finished speaking. That was the key to it. He'd said his bit, and then Rollins come out and he just shook his hand and walked off. There was no attack. I was expecting him to have either a promo against him or attack him or something. But yeah, we literally just got that, and I thought it was just really well done. It's nice to see. I think we need to see more unscripted promos on Raw. Not every single promo should be unscripted. There's guys that do need direction. But the likes of Cody, the likes of Rollins, Owens, I know they have some freedom on their promos, and you can tell that by the way they speak. But I think we need to see more of it. And I thought it was a really, really strong opening to Raw to have Cody come back. And it's just surreal seeing him on. I know it was obviously on WrestleMania, but that's like a huge show. It feels different to seeing him on a normal WWE weekly TV product. To see him out on Raw,
it feels like it's solidified.
It just felt really weird at the start. But yeah, and the crowd reaction to him was great as well. Again, so
it's huge, isn't it? It's strange because if you go back to probably 3-4 months ago, we were having a very mixed conversation about Cody Rhodes. Whether we liked what he was doing, whether we wasn't, where he was going.
Some of his promos, I really wasn't a fan of. All three of us
was buzzing, aren't we now?
Yeah, I think it's been a great start. Hopefully they can keep it up.
Yeah, I really hope so. Please don't mess this up, WWE, because there's something special going on. But no, brilliant, top mark and great opener to the show. So I think if maybe talk about the women next.
Yeah, because that was the next thing on the show anyway.
Yeah, straight out wasn't
the women's
Sasha
tag
and Naomi. A match type we don't really like here at Recharge.
As soon as they said number one. Championship contenders match. I thought,
the champion faces them to see if they're allowed a match against them.
And what made it worse is they lost and they're still getting a title match next week.
Oh, they're still getting the title match next week?
Yeah, because later on in the show, I don't know if you saw the segment with Rhea and Liv, or you've probably forgotten about it. Because Rhea obviously
forgot, yeah.
Yeah, Rhea walks off at the end of this match. And leaves Liv there. And then they have
I do remember
backstage bit later on where Liv and Rhea, Liv goes up to Rhea and was like, "What was that all about?" And she's like, "Don't worry, I've made up for it. I've got us a title match." And they're having a match next week anyway.
Bit, but I didn't think anything of it. Now that is absolutely stupid. What's the point?
However, I would have also not liked it if the champions had got pinned on their first match.
No, definitely.
So there was a no-win situation. They shouldn't have booked the match.
I think I can't think of a way where this makes sense. Even if it's not a championship contender match and they lose, they shouldn't get an opportunity at the time.
No, they should have.
That's just.
They should have left it. I thought the match itself was good, by the way, and it's 4 good
maybe just have a rematch next week, but not a. So basically, what we're saying is they're going to lose 2 matches in a row to Sasha and Naomi.
Pretty much.
It was a fantastic match.
I thought it was a really good match, to open Raw. I thought they really delivered on that sense. And I think I have an idea of where this is going creatively, because I've heard some rumors about Rhea Ripley.
Okay.
So I have heard that Rhea Ripley is being pitched for Edge's stable.
That could be sick.
She would make sense in that stable, I think. Yeah. That kind of character. So if they lose, I can see them losing again next. They're not going to win the titles next week. They're not going to take the title off Sasha and Naomi that week. So I think they're going to lose again. Liv will probably take the pin again, and Rhea will get frustrated, maybe turn heel, and then eventually I can see her joining up with Edge and Damien.
That'd be cool, especially if you end up with like Edge ringside for her matches.
I like the idea of them having a faction with women in, because normally they just keep them so separate. Like we talked about Naomi
set up.
Yeah, like we've talked about Naomi joining the Bloodline, but they won't do it because they don't have mixed factions very often. I know they've got a couple in NXT, like Diamond Mine, Legado del Fantasma, etc. But generally on the main roster, it doesn't really happen.
I think really well. I think that's a great idea, and I really hope that happens now. I just hope they don't drop Liv completely and she goes down the singles route again. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, I was enjoying the Rhea and Liv tag team, but I think that's where we're going. I have seen some people suggest maybe Liv joins it as well, and they both turn heel together. But like, I wouldn't mind that. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think it will just be Rhea. But yeah, I think that would be a cool way out of this. I'm not happy with the way they've booked them into another title match, but if that's the closing angle of it, then I think at least that will be a good payoff.
Make up for it.
Yeah,
interested to see what happens. To be honest, Raw was pretty fire, wasn't it? I mean, the Raw after Mania was great.
Yeah, I thought for a Raw after Mania standard of old, it wasn't great, but like for a normal
I was
Raw,
comparing it to last year.
Comparing it to last year, it was much better. I thought the first half of it was actually pretty good. There were some shocks and call-ups and returns. There wasn't as much as I was expecting, maybe a Bailey or an Asuka or a big name woman. I was expecting maybe an LA Knight or a Ciampa or someone from NXT.
Someone on SmackDown, aren't we?
I think, yes, and I've heard another rumor as well that I'll get to when we talk about NXT.
Oh, okay. I'm excited to hear about.
Yeah, but talking of returns, so the next segment was, it's a return and a debut at the same time because it's a new character. Yeah. So Kevin Owens is cutting a promo. Good promo work as always from Owens.
And then this music he was hurt himself in the gym, and that's lost.
Yeah. So good mic work from Owens as usual. And then this music hits, and it says Ezekiel on the Tron, and I'm like, who the bloody hell's Ezekiel? Like there used to be Ezekiel Jackson. It was in WWE like 12 years ago. I was like, well, it's clearly not going to be him. And then this guy walks out, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, who the hell is this? Because I didn't recognize him at all at the start. And then the more I looked at him, I was like, that's Elias, but with no beard, different hair,
easy,
different ring gear completely.
He's got his underpants on.
Yeah, and he just looks completely different. Gets in the ring, and Owens is like, hilariously, Elias, where the hell have you been? Which was great. But yeah, he's now going under the name Ezekiel. The one thing that concerned me a little bit is he said, I'm not Elias, I'm Elias's younger brother twice. So is he going to just pretend he's not Elias? Is that his gimmick?
No, it's a bit strange, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I like Elias. I think he's great on the mic. He's decent enough in the ring. Interesting if this is Kevin Owens' first feud after Mania. I would have thought they'd have gone for something a bit like hotter for Owens, considering he main evented Mania with Stone Cold. But then maybe this new Elias character will get over. I don't know
how good is it. Elias is on the mic.
Yeah, if he's allowed to cut like his old style of promo, then it'll be good. And maybe we have Ezekiel versus Owens.
I was thinking he looks exactly like LA Knight. When I saw him, I was like,
a lot of people have said that. Yeah, it looks like LA Knight a little bit, doesn't he? I would have preferred it to have been, by the way, if LA Knight had come out here and had a promo of Owens, I'd have been well excited.
Oh, imagine.
That would have been amazing.
SmackDown, because I don't think LA Knight can afford to lose anymore now.
No.
Up to the main roster.
But yeah, I'm concerned. This could either go one of two ways for Elias. Like this could really repackage him and he could be great, or he could be released within 3 months. Like it could go either way.
I think it is a make or break one, isn't it?
Yeah, because he was so over as Elias before. Like, so it's a risk. It is a risk, this. But to be honest, I wasn't expecting him to come back at all. So I'm happy for him that he's at least got another chance, because I thought he was just done in WWE.
I agree. We had a very small Bianca promo. I mean, it was just a good standard promo. I don't think you had anything else to say on that.
No, I mean, all of the talking point really is how busted her eye was. I mean, I know obviously we realised that she got kicked in the face at Mania, but I didn't realise how bad it was until she come out here.
Well, I saw she'd had a real knock when she sort of stumbled and could see she was a bit dazed.
Yeah.
But I'm glad she's okay. I think she'll probably be only out for about 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I've not heard anything about her breaking anything. I think it's just a black eye.
No, and we got no sign here. I was expecting a sign of who her first few. This is where I thought we might get a big comeback. We might get either Asuka, Bailey, Alexa Bliss.
Settle. I quite like that sometimes. Because everyone feels a bit like, right, I've done Mania, bang, here's your next opponent.
Yeah, I don't mind it. If they spread it out a little bit, maybe they have someone big return in a couple of weeks. Like, they don't have to do it all in one night.
I think they need to spread it out nowadays, especially with the likes of AEW firing out new comebacks and
keep the product hot going. Yeah, don't blow your load in one night. You should have done that before with... I remember the night with when Big E cashed in the WWE title, and they had there was a period where they were doing these huge angles, on one show, like loads of big ones just to pop a rating. And then a couple of weeks later, they'd have nothing. and it'd be a dud show. So they need to spread it out. And so maybe that's what they're doing. I am intrigued to see who the first challenger is for Bianca Belair, because I don't think we're getting Becky Lynch again. We may do. I don't think so straight away, though.
Once this angle you spoke about with Rhea and Liv is done, I wouldn't mind seeing Liv go.
Yeah, I'd love to see Rhea as well.
I'd like to see that further down the line, but I think that needs to be built for a massive.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing like a returning Asuka or Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss would be a good one. I don't think they've ever faced each other.
Yeah, and she needs to come back.
I was going to say Bayley, but Bayley feuded with Bianca before, so I don't think that would. I'd rather Bayley feud with someone else and get a big win.
Alexa's going to come back, I'd assume, as a face.
Possibly, yeah. I don't know. It depends what character she comes back as, because if she carries on the Fiend style gimmick, I'm not sure. If she comes back as the goddess,
I've not really heard anything, but just sort of surmising. I think maybe she doesn't want to come back as that character, so maybe discover where she fits in. But I'd really hope she comes back soon.
So one thing to move on to is it finally happened. Veer came.
Yes.
So we got Miz versus Dominant Mysterio, and I was like, okay, this is just a rematch, really.
Yeah.
Bit boring, pointless. But Miz just squashed him in seconds. Like, I was shocked at how easily Miz just beat him here, and I was thinking, God, is Dom's push like completely done? Because Miz, if you get beaten by the Miz in seconds, that's not a good sign. And then, I thought to save the Mysterios, Veer's music hits. He storms down to the ring. Miz legs it.
What a pop he got.
He did get a reaction. Yep. Which was nice. And then I thought he was going to help the Mysterios, but he doesn't. He takes one out, big clothesline, lariat type move, and then just does this submission on Dom that Dom sold like he was dying. But yeah, I thought he was going to come in as a face, but he's coming in as a heel, which is interesting. But yeah, we're getting Veer v Rey Mysterio next week, I think, which, to be fair, is a decent first feud.
I think he might destroy Rey just to.
He should do
momentum.
He should win. Like, if he loses already, then there's no he's done. A win over someone like Rey Mysterio gives you some credibility. So yeah, maybe the feud won't be done there. Maybe they'll have another match at Backlash, and maybe Rey may well win one match eventually against him. But yeah, certainly his first proper match he should beat Rey. I think that would be a good win for him. Do you think there's any link with him in the Miz? Is there a reason why he came out here, or do you think it's just he's going to feud with Mysterios?
I think it's the Mysterios angle, to be honest.
Because it wouldn't surprise me. I can know sometimes WWE's lazy with their copy-paste booking. They might have looked at Grayson Waller and Sanga and thought, Grayson Waller is like the Miz in terms of cocky heel, and Sanga is a big Indian guy. Veer's a big Indian guy. Let's just do the same thing. It wouldn't surprise me if that's what they thought.
I mean, it would work with the Miz. He always does well when he's got a sort of a henchman going round with him. I would like to see them use Veer sort of differently to see how he's on the mic.
I think he looks quite decent in the ring, so I think he should be wrestling.
He's very charismatic as well. What I see on social media and things like that.
Yeah, he seems to be to have a character,
and he enjoys it as well. So I really would like to see him used slightly differently. So in a way, I'm a little bit sad they brought him in as a heel.
Because I think he could have been quite popular as a face.
It's easy to do that, isn't it? It's quite difficult to get a face over early on, isn't it? So let's see what happens with that then. So I guess the next big thing, I know you said it wasn't sort of the best in comparison to other years, but it was stacked with content.
It was, yeah. It did have a lot happen. There's a lot of talking points.
Yeah, I mean, we had the NXT title on the line, Bron Breakker versus Ziggler, which I thought was a good match. I was a little bit confused that we were getting.
It wasn't as good as the match at Stand and Deliver, but it probably wouldn't expect it to be on an episode of Raw, would you?
Definitely. I think they're just using this to push. Well, one, gets some emphasis on the NXT title and brand to hopefully drag some people back to view NXT.
Yeah.
So I think they're just trying to give Bron Breakker this sort of limelight early.
I think so, yeah. Getting him used to the audience. The audience will know who he is because he's been on Raw.
And it's a good audience to get him across with.
Because I understand why they did it. I mean, there was criticism of it, and I get it. But I do understand why they did this. I think, because people are like, why didn't he just win it? I get that they put him on Raw. I get that. At least it wasn't like the NXT one where they won it, then lost it again straight away.
Well, I'm going to get back onto that.
Ziggler was already champion. He retained, and then Braun won it. And I think putting Braun in front of a big audience on Raw, like the most watched Raw in a year and a half, I think Braun winning it actually does make some sense. It completely undoes, obviously, what they did at the pay-per-view, but I do get it with Braun Breaker. I think they see him as a big star. But yeah, it was a bit random. But the match was good. The crowd was... I was a bit critical of the crowd on this show, and I'll get to the NXT crowd, which I thought was terrible later. Again, I don't think they were great here. I'll get to a segment in a minute where I really didn't like the crowd. But they were kind of crapping on stuff that they shouldn't have been doing, I think, on this show and NXT.
I think people just get overexcited, don't they, and start with...
I think this week, the crowd, after Mania, sometimes they get a bit... Yeah, they're just a bit odd.
Yeah, overexcited.
Yeah, or they're just bored because they've had like 4 nights, a lot of weekend.
Wrestling, isn't it?
Yeah, so I think that doesn't help it. But yeah, this match was good. Cool moment for Braun, I thought. And then we got another big moment after that. So it was Bobby Lashley coming down to the ring with MVP. We hadn't seen MVP. We didn't see him at Mania. We didn't see him last week when Lashley returned on Raw. And I was sort of, where was MVP? What are they doing with MVP here? And I predicted on our predictions that Omos would win because MVP would turn on Lashley.
Yeah.
And I am pissed that they waited. I mean, it makes sense more as a Raw angle. I get that. But they waited. So my prediction could have been so different because it did happen here. So my prediction was correct. It happened.
It's a very good prediction.
Because it just made sense because Omos needs a talker and MVP's great. Lashley doesn't need him now, in my opinion. Lashley's basically turned face. So it makes sense. And I liked what they did here. So MVP brings Lashley out. Omos comes down and then MVP just attacks him from behind. And MVP got very physical here. Hit him with a haluva kick type move. So maybe we're going to get MVP wrestling again because I felt like here, this was leading to...
I think if he
Lashley
does
beat MVP
too long, I don't think he should have match after match after.
No, what I think we'll get is Lashley versus MVP to set up Lashley v Omos again.
Yeah.
But Lashley will beat MVP like quite quickly. That's why.
Yeah.
What did you make of the angle?
Yeah, I think it's really cool actually. We've been discussing this sort of on and off for a while, haven't we? Like what's going to happen with the Hurt Business and Lashley.
And Omos in particular, because we felt he'd peaked, like we all said at WrestleMania, like what's next for him?
We thought he was done. So,
like, we wouldn't have been surprised.
A way of keeping him in the limelight, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it helps him massively if he's got a mouthpiece.
Isn't he? He's absolutely fire MVP on the mic. So, I mean, he's in a way, as much as Lashley has done his own thing, I think MVP has elevated him massively.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
18 months. And because he already had the in-ring ability, but he just didn't quite have that on the mic. Whereas I think now they can let him go on his own because he's got that experience. He's got the fans behind him.
Absolutely.
So I think MVP, if you're going to keep Omos in the picture, this is the way you do it. So I might have to eat my own hat. And in a year's time, Omos might actually be a pretty big star because of MVP. I mean,
yeah. It may really elevate him, and I think it gives him at least a chance. I feel MVP might not be happy about it, but at the end of the day, I think it makes sense.
He's been with Lashley a long time now. There's only so long you can do this.
Yeah, and if Lashley's turning face, I think it makes more sense for
definitely because he can talk.
He doesn't. Yeah, and he can just let his wrestling do the talking a lot of the time.
Definitely.
So yeah, I really like this angle. Intrigued to see where that goes. What did we have next? We had
big tag team match, wasn't it? It was originally, I believe, Usos versus RK Bro. Was that right?
Oh yeah, and then Balor and Theory.
And a big 6-man tag. And this match was good. There wasn't anything particular I wanted to mention in it, but it's just the finish, the fact that Theory got the pin on Balor.
Yeah, Balor's lost a lot, hasn't he? I think, honestly, I just think put the United States title on Theory. That's clearly where they're going with this.
It's going to happen. Yeah.
And I think that makes sense too.
I'm happy about. We do need to do this with these young stars.
Yeah. Theory's getting the push and they care about him, but I just want Balor to move on to something else. I wouldn't mind seeing Balor turn heel. Like, I think Balor needs a heel. He's not been a heel on the main roster before, has he? Ever?
I'd like to move him to SmackDown. I think he's going to get a lot more limelight. As we've discussed, Raw is so stacked.
Yeah.
Over to SmackDown, he can be a big title contender. And you've always got that demon card.
Yes.
If you want someone to really face off with the sort of big stars, I know we've already pulled the demon out on Roman Reigns and they messed it up. That doesn't mean they couldn't potentially do it again.
No, they could do it again. And they could do, even if they turned him heel, they could do Finn v Drew, Finn v Ricochet for the IC belt or something. Like, there's fresh things they can do with it. No doubt. Can you
imagine Ricochet versus Finn?
That would be very exciting.
That'd be insane, wouldn't it? But yeah, I'm pleased to see that Theory's getting this push, but it's just a shame that Balor's is at his expense. So I guess then we come on to this sort of awesome new faction with Edge. How awesome the entrance is. I absolutely love it. It's just
and this is where I was critical of the crowd because they were chanting "We don't care" at Damian Priest when he was talking.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
And I was like, and he reacted to it well. He called them, I can't remember what he said to them, but he called them losers or something.
Yeah.
And there was a bit of that on this show and definitely on NXT this week. And I was just like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
why are you doing this? They're like, this is decent angle. And like Damian Priest doesn't deserve that at all. So yeah, I was just confused by that. But yeah, they had a good promo, didn't they?
Yeah, it was good. And then we get AJ coming out. And sort of getting the upper hand at one point, but then Edge and Priest did an awesome sort of like higher lower move. It was like a spear.
Yeah, that was really cool. For the first time they hit that move, it looks so cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. I think they need to get the timing slightly better, but that will come with time. But could we see these guys tagging?
Maybe.
Which is pretty awesome. I'd actually love to see that. Because I mean, I haven't seen Edge in like a tag team since
Edge and Priest v RK Bro.
Yeah, I mean,
the history of Edge and Orton.
Time, but just get them to tag now and again. I think would be
good. I think it's really cool. I'm intrigued. Like I say, if they do, they're going to add more people. I think this should be. We don't get more than 3 people in a faction in WWE. Very rarely. You know, the Bloodline. 4 with Paul Heyman, but 3 really in terms of wrestlers. The Hurt Business was kind of 4, but again 3 really with MVP. You know, the New Day, 3. It's always 3. It's the Sheamus faction. I would like to see them go full ministry because it's kind of like the Ministry of Darkness back in the day, which Edge was in. You can have 5 or 6 people in this faction. You can have a woman, a tag team, like a couple of big guys like Priest and Edge. I really think you can make something here and make them a dominant faction on Raw. I'd really like to see it. I think that's what they should do. Just go all in on this and make a dominant faction.
Well, you've got the people at the top of it that you need to make an awesome faction.
And that way as well, Edge doesn't have to wrestle that often. No. He can be there every week cutting promos and getting involved in matches, but Edge doesn't need to wrestle every week. But you can still have him on TV.
He doesn't even have to be there every week.
No, because Priest can hold
Priest can do it. Edge can do video promos. You can do really cool video promos.
Yeah, exactly.
I did see a tweet from Brody King. Saying,
this annoyed me, this tweet.
It's like a bargain basement.
When you order it off
that's it, yeah. Wish.com house.
It annoyed me because, he tweeted afterwards saying the next day saying, by the way, guys, I was only joking. But I did think it was like, the comments were hilarious because everyone was like, hang on, House of Black is basically a copy of the Ministry of Darkness, which Ed was in. It's also kind of like the Brood, which Ed was in.
Yeah.
And to be honest, Aleister Black was doing this basically the same character in WWE before he left. Yeah. So Brody King was a bit, he got crucified a little bit for that tweet. I did think it was a bit I know it's a joke, but a bit silly of him to do that.
Yeah, he's a bit
Because people
bitter.
came at him. But some of the comments were a bit unnecessary. They were calling him fat and stuff. And I was like, come on, guys. But
Fans are a nightmare.
yeah, the fans overreacted to it a
Absolute
little bit. But
nightmare.
I did think that he, it's not really copying that. It's not hardly anything and hardly any gimmick in wrestling is original anymore. Like everything's been done.
Oh yeah, you can't be complete as long as you don't absolutely mimic something.
Yeah,
it's okay to do a similar.
There's not many that are completely original.
I mean, what else can you do? There's not too much.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that was. I
think
it was good.
That was all for Raw, wasn't it?
No, there was a couple more bits. So there was what I found interesting as well is he called them the punishment for the guilty. That's what Edge introduced Priest as, and Priest's name before he joined WWE was Punishment Martinez. So I think they're playing into that, which I thought was cool.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. There was a couple of other things. So Zelina and Carmella, I think broke up officially as a tag team. Didn't like the segment, but I will get into the reason why I think this happened. So Carmella and Corey Graves are getting married this week.
Right.
And it's been announced that Corey Graves is going to be replaced for the time being by Jerry the King Lawler on commentary. Okay. So obviously they'll be taking a bit of time off. So Zelina is going to be on her own now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why they did that angle. Didn't care that much. Just it's this tag team and this angle has been a joke. But yeah, that's what's happening. So you won't see Corey Graves and Carmella for a little bit.
A
few weeks. The other thing was there was a cool Texas Tornado match between the Street Profits and the Alpha Academy.
Oh yeah, that was a good match. Yeah.
With a big table spot at the end, big splash.
Yeah,
by Montez. That was not a lot else to say about that, but it was good.
No, it was a good match. It's just they've had so many matches now. I'm ready for them to move on to something else.
Yeah. They've had way too many matches. I think that was bringing them into the feud, I hope. And then the Raw closed with Roman Reigns. Of course, he looked so cool with all the both belts.
He does look awesome.
The bloodline behind. I'm glad they kept the tag titles in a way now because it just.
The only thing that made me worry slightly about this is the fact that, well, for a start, I just tried to move us on because I forgot this happened. It was great. I mean, the image of him with two belts.
Yeah, but the promo was nothing, wasn't it?
The promo was a little bit lackluster.
Yeah, there was nothing to it. I annoyed people
compared to Cody, KO.
It was basically like tune in Friday to see what we have to say.
Yeah,
that's what Roman basically said. He was like, "I'm not going to tell you now. Like, you have to wait till Friday." So
everyone, they want SmackDowns.
It popped the crowd, but they didn't actually say anything of note. He basically just said, "Acknowledge me and wait until Friday." It was a little bit. It was like 2 minutes long. It wasn't enough there. It was a bit disappointing. I have to say.
I think that's why I forgot about it. But the imagery.
Yeah, the imagery was great. But yeah, so I have heard theories that Roman might be injured, and there might be something on Friday relating to that.
His shoulder probably. It probably needs a few weeks. I don't think it'll be too bad if it was just.
Hopefully, he doesn't have to drop a title or something because that would just be crazy. But
I would be really disappointed.
That would be a real shame after all of the build.
The way they've used Roman up until Mania, I could count how many times he's wrestled in the last 4 months, probably on one hand. I mean, you don't need him to wrestle. If he needs a month of just recuperation, he doesn't need to wrestle. He can just be ringside for the Usos. He can cut promos.
Yeah. You can wait until at least Backlash.
And I don't think they'd take the titles off him unless it's going to be like 6 months.
I mean, only if it's serious.
Where Brock was never even in the building. So, yeah, keep it on Roman.
Yeah. That was all from
Raw.
So
I think we'll go to NXT then, yeah?
Yeah.
And I think I should go, since we mentioned part of it in Raw, I think I'll go straight into my skid mark.
Yeah,
I think that makes sense. So we had a match. Obviously, we had Ziggler versus Bron Breakker, which we thought was quite cool. The fact that Bron won his title, it won the NXT title on Raw. But then we also had a tag match, rematch of Toxic Attraction versus Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez, which Toxic Attraction won their titles back. It just seems weird how they've had a pay-per-view on Saturday at Stand and Deliver, which Toxic Attraction won lost their titles to Raquel and Dakota Kai, which we thought, oh, cool, what's going on here? They're sort of a resurgence. They then lose them on Tuesday, which...
Yeah, this was a waste of time.
I think would be okay. But the fact that we've also had a title change with the NXT title, it almost is making the pay-per-view a bit redundant for me. So that's the reason it's a skid mark.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. This one was a complete waste of time, and which is a real shame.
Plus, it made me lose my point on.
Yeah,
I lost my point on predictions because of this.
Me too. Yeah. Yeah, it was a bit of a shame that they went down this route. I don't really understand why they did it.
And I thought Dakota and Gonzalez were looking great together. I think it could have been quite interesting.
Yeah, and they had Wendy Chu come out again here, so it was kind of similar to what they did, but this time it backfired on them. And then they kind of cheated behind the refs back a little bit and got the pin. The match was good, and it was given time, but yeah, I just didn't understand the point of it. One thing I said to you guys, might be able to make me understand this a little bit, is so next week we've got Mandy Rose versus Dakota Kai for the women's title. So I think they've done this whole thing to set up Dakota Kai be Mandy Rose. If Dakota Kai beats Mandy Rose,
I'd love that.
Then I'd love it. Then I'd be happy with them taking it.
I think she deserves that as well.
Because she's been in NXT how long? Like 5 years at this point. So long. She's never won the top title. She's had 2 tag team title reigns that have been, one was like less than a day, I think, and the other one was like 3 or 4 day long title reigns, like complete joke. So I wouldn't mind seeing Dakota Kai beat Mandy Rose. But I don't think that's gonna happen though.
I'd love it. But you could then have Dakota Kai versus Cora Jade. I think would be a good match. She needs to do. I've said this for probably nearly 2 years now. Dakota Kai either needs that title put on her, or she needs moving up to SmackDown.
Yeah, well, what I think will happen, I would if she wins the title, then great. But if she loses, I can see her and Raquel getting called up, maybe as a tag team to add someone into the tag team division at the start, and then you can split them on the main roster and push. Raquel will probably get pushed.
I mean, Raquel could easily be up there with the likes of
like Rhea and people like that.
Rhea Ripley, that'd be an awesome match. Rhea, Belair, and Dakota Kai would hang at the top as well. I mean, I'd love to see like Dakota Kai versus Sasha Banks.
So would I.
She's a great wrestler. So yeah, I hope you're right there. I really do.
I hope one way or the other. If she loses and they just keep her in NXT again, then I'll be pissed off. I won't get it at all.
No, it's a shame. I mean, she is one of those sort of really reliable people, isn't she? She's great in ring. She's great on the mic. She probably helps the sort of younger superstars as well.
Yeah,
which is great.
I'll be back in a second. Sorry, I've just got to get the door.
Yeah, no problem. So whilst Fisher is just answering his takeaway or whatever he's having, I'm going to start talking about Gunther versus Bron Breakker. So this was a massive, massive match just to have on NXT. Here he is. He's got his Greg's, or he's got his Postman Pat or whatever he's doing. I've just started to talk about.
It was the postman. Sorry.
That's all right. Things happen. See, we're in real life here, not in nice little studios. So
yeah.
Talking about Bron Breakker versus Gunther, which I said was a massive match to have.
Yes.
On the normal NXT. Something we kind of to be honest, any match that Gunther's involved in, we normally are excited about. And nowadays we love.
I love watching him wrestle.
So what a match!
I was amazed they just gave this away on free TV. Obviously, they set it up at the start with Bron opening the show, and then what were coming out, and basically Gunther, whatever you want to call him.
I'm trying to get used to saying Gunther now.
Again, the fans here though chanting, "We want Ziggler at Bron Breakker," and I was just like, "Why?" I mean, I love Dolph Ziggler, but I wouldn't be chanting that in NXT at Bron Breakker, who's like
not after we've just seen it on Monday Night Raw again.
Yeah, I was baffled here at the treatment to Bron. But the match itself, really, really good main event. Bron was kicking out of everything, wasn't he? He did the power bomb, he did the splash off the top. Yeah, it just made Bron look amazing, and he beat him clean as a sheet. And that's where I was a bit puzzled by, because they've changed Imperium's music, they've changed Gunther's name, and I was like, what are they doing here with Imperium? And then on this show, so it plays into the start as well. So Imperium had a tag team match with the Creed brothers, and Fabian Eichner just walked off. halfway through it, and Marcel and Bartel ends up getting pinned by Creed Brothers. We'll come back to that to talk about a debut in a minute. But so that played in later on, and then Walter lost here, and I was like, what is going on with Imperium? But I have heard that they are planning, so this is where one of the big calls up comes from. They're planning on calling up Gunther and Marcel Bartel, but not Fabian Eichner, which I don't understand. Why not keep them all together?
Fabian Eichner,
Gunther on the main roster is something to get excited about.
I mean, that is really excited, and I think that's going to be great. But I would say out of Marcel Bartel and Eichner, Eichner's the better wrestler.
Yeah, maybe they want him. If they want him to have a solo run in NXT, like as a top star, then that's fine. But I worry that they've done this before. They did it with Pete Dunne and Bertrand Lorcan, where they and Ridge Holland, where they called up Ridge Holland out of nowhere, kept Pete Dunne in NXT, and then Bertrand Lorcan just ended up getting released. Yeah. And if that happened, I'd be like fuming. I'd be like, why can't you just keep Imperium together? Yeah. I don't get why they don't want all three of them as a package. Do they want Gunther and Bartel to be a tag team? Or
they're definitely priming Gunther for the main roster.
Don't get me wrong, I'm excited because apparently it's for SmackDown as well, which needs them. So you can imagine Walter v. Drew, Walter v. Roman. Oh wow. Walter v.
How good does he look at the moment where he's lost that weight? So you can definitely see the main cards getting into him. He's lost a bit of his weight, and to
be honest, he doesn't suit this current NXT that much.
No, I think he'd be better off on the main roster, as you say. He'd be a very good heel. I think people could really sort of dislike him, and he can throw people about. So the likes of Drew, could you imagine it, as you mentioned?
That is like a big SummerSlam match would be great.
And he's huge, so he could do it. He could really do it. No slaps. I'm looking forward to seeing them. Yeah, let's do it. I'm excited.
So something to get excited about, but also a little bit concerned with the Eichner situation. I don't get that bit. I would rather have them call them up all together. I don't.
Tag team. I'd love to see Imperium versus anyone on the main roster.
The Usos. If they're going to SmackDown, Gunther and Bartel versus the Usos. If they're using them as a tag team, would be all right.
Be fantastic, wouldn't it?
And then eventually you can split them and push Walter into the main event.
Yeah.
And Bartel would just probably not do much, but still.
And I don't know if we mentioned it, but Gunther actually lost clean to Braun.
Yeah, I did say.
So Braun Breaker just looks like a tank now because he's just beat Ziggler on Raw, and then he's come back to NXT the next day and beat Gunther clean. I loved the massive spear he hit on him mid-air. That was cool.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
It was.
I don't have too much more to say on NXT.
So we'll talk about the debut of an NXT UK tag team. That was
of course,
exciting.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah,
I spoke about the match. So we got Creed Brothers versus Imperium, and then after the match, some masked guys come in and attacked the Creed Brothers again, and it was revealed to be Pretty Deadly.
Yeah,
from NXT UK, who we've watched quite a lot of, being from the UK and watch NXT UK. Really cool tag team. Very good. Keeney actually predicted this. I think he said it last week on the pod, so fair play to him that he'd heard something. I hadn't heard anything about this, but Keeney was like, I think it's pretty deadly.
NXT UK rumor there.
So, and he was right. So yeah, nice spot for them, and I think they'll fit in this NXT 2.0.
I do. I think they're really, really good. Very charismatic, very good in ring. I think they've got the whole package. Yeah, I think they'll do really well, and they'll bring something different. Yeah, really cool angle.
Yeah. What we forgot to mention about the main event was the after angle with Joe Gacy.
Oh, I didn't like
the kidnapping. I didn't like it either.
Let it slide out my mind. So I'll let you talk about that, Fisher.
Yeah. So Joe Gacy throughout the show, he had like 3 promos on the show. So he had a bit with Draco Anthony earlier on the show where him and Zion Quinn were falling out over it. Then he had a little promo. He was saying something about the importance of family. And then here, so all we saw was on the video, Rick Steiner, Bron Breakker's dad, is tied. He's saying he's very proud of his son. Then you see he's tied up, and then you see that he's like in a cage that Haaland and Joe Gacy put him in. So really, essentially, Gunther was used as a setup angle for Joe Gacy. I'm not keen on the Joe Gacy gimmick at all, and I don't really see it as a main event gimmick. So it looks like we're getting Bron v Gacy for the title, which I'm not overly keen on. What do you make of that?
I'm not too fussed about it at all. I'll be interested to see where it goes. Do you think he's definitely going to face Joe Gacy?
Or well, he could face Haaland. That's a good point.
I'm wondering whether they're going to make him look really strong by facing Haaland first, and he sort of takes down.
Yeah, they may do it like that. I think he may end up facing both of them in one way or another, but I don't know who's going to get like the title match. You may be right. It may be he beats Joe Gacy and then Haaland faces him for the title or something. I don't know. But yeah, big angle there. The one other thing I wanted to mention from NXT, well, I don't really want to talk about it that much, but it's a skid mark, so I've got to.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, so the Duke Hudson Dexter Loomis match, and I'm sure if Keeney was here, this would have been his skid mark, because I know he doesn't like this storyline either. And the crowd actually chanted, I actually agreed with them on this one. They chanted, "This is stupid" at the end of it. Where they both got cancelled out because the women were fighting and pulling them against the post. And this feud's just nonsense. It needs to end. Really, really bad stuff. And yeah, the match itself was just average, really. It's two kind of average workers. And yeah, it was just not very excited and not very good.
No, I'm not interested in this at all. So very good skid mark.
Worst thing of the week for me by far. I've seen. There was a couple of other things of note on the show. So we got Cameron Grimes doing his speech after winning the North American title, which I thought was a good promo. Solo Sikoa come out and challenged him in a respectful way, and they talked about the respect they've got for each other. So we're getting that as a match, which will be good, I'm sure. Yep. That was decent. We had a Tony D'Angelo weird celebration thing. That was a bit random, to be honest. I didn't really get it.
Yeah, the fans weren't too keen on that bit either, were they?
No, I don't really know who the guy is that's introducing him. And yeah, it was just okay. It wasn't anything special. He got a ring. It reminded me of MJF a little bit. Like he's now got a ring. I was like, this is a bit like MJF now. I hope he doesn't use it all the time like MJF does, because that would be a copy and paste.
Yeah.
And then there was a Nikita Lyons match with her being dominant, which was cool. And that was about it from NXT. That was worth of note, I think.
Yeah, so on to AEW, I think. Did you have anything to mention from Rampage first, or should we go straight into that?
Oh, we'll mention, I think there was a match from Rampage to mention. It was Hobbs versus Keith Lee, wasn't it?
Yeah.
A really good like big man match. They were shoving each other about, and there was interference from Ricky Starks and Swerve, and that played into the there was an angle on Dynamite with them as well. There was a Rochambeau from Starks on Swerve through a table, but it ended up with I think Keith winning, didn't he? So
the angle was quite cool actually on Dynamite. We might as well talk about that.
Yeah, you can segue into that if you want, because I don't think there was anything else too major from. There was Danhausen and Hook again, which is I don't know where that's going, but yeah. Other than that, there wasn't a lot from Rampage that I'm not bothered about talking about. There was Jamie Hayter versus Sky Blue was a good match. But other than that, yeah, not too much to say really.
So yeah, that angle really that you spoke about was Swerve Strickland having an interview, and as he sort of walks off. He gets chased down by Hobbs and Stark, and then Keith Lee just absolutely blasts one of them through a wall.
Yeah, Hobbs through a wall, yeah.
Just keeps this going, doesn't it? But it was a cool angle.
That was a really cool visual, of him going through the wall. I thought that was pretty
good. We like Keith Lee smashing people around, don't we?
Yeah, he did it in NXT as well. It was good. It's always good.
We started this one with Adam Cole versus Christian Cage.
Yeah.
I must say, I mean, when would you have thought, like, 12 months ago that we'd be getting Adam Cole versus Christian Cage on any platform, never mind AEW. It's just crazy, isn't it? I mean, yeah, it was a good match, but really it was just building up to that after angle. Adam Cole beats Christian. But as they're sort of getting the beat down, out comes world champion Adam Page. Quite angry, actually, wasn't he? It was a very angry.
Yeah, he was more fired up. He was more fired up here than he has been in previous promos, which I liked. I got into it a bit here.
Yeah, we definitely need this from him because we're saying he's running a bit flat, isn't he?
And and surprisingly, they're having a match on Rampage because Rampage is actually going to be live next week. And
is it on a Saturday, did I hear? Are they doing it on Saturday?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know why. I just thought it was Saturday. I might be wrong.
They might have. They have moved it to Saturday once or twice before, so it might be. You might be right.
Texas Death Match.
Yeah, and a Texas Death Match. I'm not sure.
I think they're using these a bit too frequently. Am I right? They had one the other week with.
Yeah, they have had a few, haven't they? They have these hardcore matches a lot.
Was he in that match against Murder Hawk Monster? Wasn't that a Texas Death Match?
Yeah, it may have been. It was something similar. It had a
Texas matches.
it had a stipulation for sure. The match I thought myself between Adam Cole and Christian got really good. It started quite slowly, but it really got going. The crowd was really into it. This really good match. Adam Cole got a near fall from having the knee pad up on the boom, and then he did it later and got the pin. Christian got a spear near fall in there as well. It was really good, really good opener. The crowd were really into it.
I'm wondering here, the fact that they've done this match so often, I'm wondering if and the fact it's live, I'm wondering if they're going to swap the belt here onto Cole.
Maybe.
And this is how Kenny Omega comes back. And we get Kenny Omega Cole feud. I'm just wondering whether it's
not a bad shout.
W are thinking Adam Page has run his course and now's the time to pull the trigger. The V trigger. But I mean, it'd be awesome. I'm happy either way, whether it stays on Page. It just seems odd to have them have another match and Cole lose again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It seems a bit odd. And the fact that he hasn't quite been getting the reaction that possibly he needs. But as you say, this promo was a lot better. So let's see what happens. Yeah,
like it'll be interesting. You could be right with that angle. It wouldn't surprise me if they go that way.
But I'm excited for the match. I am very excited for the match. I'm also very excited when we eventually get Omega.
Something I know you were also very excited for was the arrival of Samoa Joe. We talked about it even on the end of the WrestleMania pod that we were getting that this week because we all love Samoa Joe on this.
So excited, and wow, what a reaction he got. Got such a reaction from the crowd. This is a top mark for me. I mean, he had a match against Max Caster, who actually had a very good sort of mild but funny rap.
Yeah, I thought this was about the right kind of level. It was good.
I really enjoyed it. Him saying when Joe was the champion in NXT, it's when AEW were beating him in the ratings.
Yeah, and he talks about him being injury prone, which is a bit savage, but
that was savage, but
has been true in the
Joe
past.
Was like, okay. But speaking of injury prone, I mean, it's amazing to see this guy back in the ring because I absolutely love Samoa. He's a big lad, but my God, can he sort of...
I love it, those insecurities in the corner.
Insecurity fix is good, but talking about injuries, what an absolute nut. I mean, that guy must be 270 pounds, and he did like a huge suicida dive.
Yeah.
And he didn't do it lightly. He flew.
That's the thing, he doesn't do things by half when he does wrestle, and that's why I love him. As a big man, like, he's not slow, he's not...
Please
he just flies around the ring. But yeah, he was so dominant here.
We haven't even had him on the mic, where he is so special. I cannot wait to see him on the mic. But yeah, just amazing. And that finisher he used, a muscle buster, is something he doesn't do too often. So I really like that. And Joe obviously got the win, but just really excited to finally see him back in the ring. When he was on commentary on WWE, we honestly thought that was it, and we were never going to see him ever again. So excited that he's getting this sort of another run in a company that's hopefully going to appreciate him and let him run on the microphone a bit, because he can be absolute gold. So I cannot wait to see what he's going to do.
Yeah, and it looks like his first feud is going to be with Jay Lethal. So obviously he returned on the Ring of Honor show. Jay Lethal turned heel because I think he's been a face previously on AEW TV.
I think he has. Yeah.
Teamed up with Sanjay Dutt. And then they cut a promo after this to Joe. Joe didn't actually say anything back, did he? Here, but it looks like we're getting next week a celebrate. They're gonna do a celebration. Yeah, so we're gonna get Joe on the mic next week, and probably gonna get physical as well, I would assume. But yeah, it should be really good.
Yeah, really excited about that. And something else I was really excited about was to see the Hardys in action again. and versus one of my sort of tag teams that I've liked randomly for quite a while. I know you guys aren't too bothered, but Butcher and the Blade, I'm so happy that they're using these guys again. And Butcher's had a bit of a resurgence with his look. So this was a table match, and I loved the stipulation here. The fact that they had to put somebody offensively through a table.
I thought it was a bit messy. I didn't really get what was going on half the time.
I'm wondering whether Jeff Hardy accidentally went through the table.
Yeah, I think he did.
And got eliminated, which was
because I don't think he was supposed to get eliminated here. It was a bit of a mess.
It was like, well, I've been eliminated, but there's no disqualification, so I'm going to.
Yeah, but then it counted when he won. I didn't really understand.
Yeah, that was a bit odd when he. Yeah, that was the bit that made me think, hang on a minute, he just won the match.
Yeah, I thought it was just a bit messy, this match. I didn't really. The spots were okay, but yeah, there was a few. It seemed a bit botched in places, and
I think Jeff made a mess of it, but I still think it worked because it's just chaos. But I do like the fact that it's a stipulation that you have to be put through a table and it only eliminates one of you. I think that's...
Yeah, I like the elimination aspect of it. I think that's fine. But I don't really get why they... they had it. It was weird. It was weird. It was. I was confused as who's in the match and who's not at points here. And like I say, I don't think he was meant to go through the table and get eliminated.
I just enjoyed it. It was just an absolute mess of tables. There was suplexes onto the outside. I don't know how long Jeff's going to be able to do this for because he.
No, I think he's. The end spot was amazing with him going for the ladder. But yeah, how often? How long is he going to do it for?
At the moment, aren't we? Jeff doing a massive swanton.
Yeah.
Something through tables, but.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome match, in terms of what was happening anyway. And then we had the end angle with Andrade coming out.
The thing is, I am completely bored of this.
I don't know why it keeps
feud. I don't know why they keep.
It's a bit strange, isn't it? I don't know what's going to happen because we've obviously had Darby get beat by Andrade already.
I'm not a fan of it. I was hoping this was going to be the last we were going to see of this feud, but it doesn't look like it is. Which is a bit annoying. I'm not particularly a fan of it, to be honest with you. But we'll see what happens next. But yeah, I thought this match was a little bit messy, to be honest. I was getting
I agree, it was messy,
lot of
but it was entertainment, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's almost like they say, Matt and Jeff, just go do what you want.
Yeah.
Good to see Matt Hardy in this sort of role again, not doing what he was. He's back to Hardy I want to see.
So we got Captain Sean Dean versus Sean Spears here with MJF on commentary. Immediately Wardlow chants here, and obviously he turned up again, beat up a load of security, and basically just cost Sean Spears the match. This was all fine. It's obviously just keeping Wardlow on the screen but not there. He's not supposed to be there. It's keeping MJF is getting more and more frustrated with it. And he got a huge reaction when he was walking through the crowd, which was great to see.
Yeah.
Got to say the door's gone again.
So I will carry on talking about AEW then.
I'll be 2 seconds.
Got his next takeaway. I'm excited to see Wardlow. This is going to build for a long time. I mean, this has been a slow build, and everything with MJF does go on for a while. I'm quite excited to see Wardlow on the microphone, hopefully going up against MJF eventually. It'd be nice to see how he is on the microphone without MJF behind him, but more against him. So maybe a couple more weeks of this, I guess, and then he might finally get his hands on him, which is going to be really entertaining. Really excited for that. We know he can go in ring. So, let's get him on the microphone some more like we did the other week.
Yeah, I think this feud is just looking good. It's slowly building. I don't mind Sean Spears just kind of getting losing in this kind of manner. It doesn't really matter. No. I don't think Sean Spears' character it doesn't ruin it at all. It's fine. Because I feel like that's what he's there for almost. This feud's decent enough. So other things we had on the show, we'll talk about the main event in a minute. We got Hikaru Shida versus Julia Hart. Yeah.
Yeah, that was in the tournament. What is this tournament again?
So it's the Owen Hart Memorial Tournament, which the Samoa Joe match was also in.
There's a men's and a
side.
female one. That was the thing. I knew Samoa Joe's match was, but I was a bit confused as to whether they were doing.
Yeah, because Tony Storm match last week was in there, and also Jamie Hayter's one, which is why they had a confrontation on this show.
Yeah,
as well.
I'm excited for that one for sure. I thought the match was pretty good. Good to see Shida in action. But I guess again, although she won, the after angle was the main thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Deeb and Shida again facing off, but with weapons this time, but nothing really came to play.
Fight forever. Yeah.
I don't want them to fight that many times.
No, but it feels like we're getting them forever, which to be honest is okay. I don't mind them. I've talked about it before, maybe like having like a best of 7 series type of thing.
Sheamus versus Cesaro copy from about 5.
Yeah, sort of that kind of vibe. Another interesting thing from the match was Julia Hart at the start sending the Varsity Blondes to the back. There's been a lot of talk about her breaking from that group, turning heel, maybe joining the House of Black or something like that. It plays into that a little bit further. But yeah, the match was decent enough without being anything special. We also got Eddie Kingston and Santana and Ortiz beating up Jericho and his crew backstage. There to Jake Hager had to get them away in a getaway car in the end. And then Eddie just come out and they just cut this promo basically saying, like, I know where you live. If you're with your wife, I'm still going to beat you up and all this kind of pretty savage promo.
Very aggressive promo.
Very aggressive promo from Eddie Kingston and Santana and Ortiz. But yeah, I thought it was good.
Yeah, no, looking forward to see where that comes. So does that bring us to the main event?
I think so. Yeah, I don't think there was a little Jade Cargill promo. It was all right on the show as well. There was the Blackpool Combat Club again as well. Moxley is facing Wheeler Yuta on Rampage, which I think is interesting. And then Wheeler Yuta was with the Best Friends. They're clearly going to break that up, and Wheeler Yuta is going to join Moxley and Brian, and I think that'll happen on Friday because I think he'll earn Moxley's respect. He's already earned Regal and Brian's respect. I think you have to earn the respect of the group to join them.
You have to get beaten up by everyone, basically.
Yeah, you have to get beaten up.
You have to get beaten in a match and slapped, don't you? That's how this works.
Yeah, and then I think we'll get that on Friday. Maybe Mox beats him, but he does well in the match, and then he joins them. But yes, so to the main event.
So FTR versus Young Bucks. So even on paper, this sounds like a banger, and this did not disappoint, did it? What a match. The crowd was insanely into this, which got me into it some more. I love the fact they were like getting one up on each other for quite a lot of this match. It was like they were doing similar moves, reversing things. I mean, we had Young Bucks hit a big rig. We had FTR hit a BTE trigger.
Yeah, that was really cool. Like to see them do that kind of move.
And then kiss them as well, really just taking the mick out of the Young Bucks. It's nice to not have like a heel and a face team here. Just two amazing teams going at it. I
think the FTR feel like a face team right now.
They feel like going that way, don't they? But
still, they are.
They're in the Pinnacle, which aren't.
No, yeah, true.
Cool, are they?
Technically, they're still in the Pinnacle, yeah.
I love these big sort of factions going off against each other, just in a real competitive match, and you don't know who's going to win.
Yeah, and there was 2 belts on the line here. Obviously, not AEW ones, but FTR won the Ring of Honor belts on Friday. Apparently, I haven't seen it actually, the match against the Briscoes, but everyone was saying it was an amazing match.
To check that out then.
Yeah, a lot of people said it was the match of the weekend, including the Mania matches, but a lot of them are people that probably don't watch WWE or don't like WWE. But still, it sounded like it was a great match.
I can imagine it would have been good.
Yeah, and then obviously the AAA titles that they've had for a little while. But yeah, really, really good match. This there was a bit where they did like a set up powerbomb and a tombstone pile driver at the same time. They got a near fall from that. Loads of like near falls and stuff. Like you say, the copying each other's moves. I like that. I like it when teams do that, and as long as it's not overdone. If you're doing it every week, then it gets a bit repetitive. But this was, in this case, where the teams know each other so well. They've had loads of matches in the past. I think it was the perfect time for a spot like that. And I think the right team won with FTR getting a win over the Young Bucks. I don't think the Young Bucks need to win all the time. And FTR holding those belts, I think, means more. I think it suits them better. But yeah, what a great main event. I feel like FTR are having a great run at the moment.
They are having a good run, yeah, really.
I think we talked about last week that they were like the MVPs of Dynamite, and this week you could argue the same. And the fans are so into them right now that they were cheering them over the Young Bucks. I think they're on a bit of a tear at the moment. It's nice to see.
Definitely, yeah. They need to carry on with it, don't they? And I think both of these teams showed why they're two of the best tag teams in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
I loved this match. The pace was brilliant. It was just continuous, wasn't it?
It was really, really good.
Loved it.
Very close to being my top mark, to be honest. If I was giving it to a match, I would have given this as 100%.
Well, if Joe hadn't have come back,
yeah, this
would have been it. But it's the stuff around Joe coming back and the feeling I get from.
Yeah, Joe was great as well. Yeah, this was a pretty solid Dynamite. I didn't like the Hardys match much, but other than that, I thought it was a really good show.
No, really enjoyed it. In fact,
I think they really stacked the card after, because you had Mania week.
Oh,
they had to put on I think they had to put on a show here this week, and I think they did do that.
The whole week of wrestling overall, I know we've had our skid marks, but overall, it's been a phenomenal week. It's been really enjoyable. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, we didn't talk about SmackDown. Not a lot happened on that, and that's the reason we haven't talked about it, because most of it was Mania related. There was the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, which was won by Madcap Moss, so we'll see how that goes. Ricochet defended the Intercontinental title and won that, so he keeps that. But yeah, not a lot else to say from SmackDown, which is why we didn't talk about it this week. But I think we're pretty much done on everything else.
I'm feeling pretty charged.
Yeah, absolutely. If you follow us on Twitter at Recharge Wrestle, follow Robot Republic as well at Robot Republic _. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe.
Please do.
We'll be back next week with our usual roundup. No extra content probably coming this week. We a little break now.
A couple of weeks
after doing like 4 videos, I think, because we did loads of predictions as well.
We've been stacked.
So I feel like I've been constantly recording something or other. But yeah,
hopefully you're not bored of us yet.
We'll recharge and then we'll come back next week, and hopefully another strong. Hopefully SmackDown this week. The SmackDown after Mania hopefully will be really very exciting. And hopefully we're going to get good shows in the other shows as well. NXT's got a decent enough lineup next week. Raw should be good, hopefully. Dynamite is normally pretty reliable. So, yeah, looking forward to it all. And, we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.